Depression is a strange friend. Can sometimes feel like your only companion. It's the dog you try to put in the backyard when company comes over. Depression is LeBron James' hairline. It leaves and it comes back, and it leaves and somehow comes back. Depression is a police officer's gun. It doesn't always need a good reason to trigger. Sometimes it just triggers, even in your own home. Depression is a Beyonce album. We don't know when it's gonna come, but we anticipate all the pandemonium it streams. Depression is a Beyonce concert. All the voices around you can be deafening. It is being around all your favorite people, doing all your favorite things, and still finding life to be despairing. It is gray paint on rainbows. Depression is waking up stuck in your bed that feels a lot more like casket, hoping to find God in the ceilings. Depression is the creepy man catcalling at her in the alley. It shouldn't be normal, but it is. Pastor, do not be offended if I go see a professional. It doesn't mean I don't think you can do your job. It just means I think she can do her job too. Like, we think professional help is cool for diabetes and pills for high blood pressure, but mental illness can only be treated with exorcism. Depression is repeating to yourself, I want to live. I want to live. I want to live. And hoping you'll believe yourself on the 12th time. On Thursday, I dragged me and all my voices into my therapist's office. I told her I don't think I'm suicidal. I just don't want to live anymore. Breathing can become so redundant after a while. My 21st birthday fell on a Sunday. I sat under voices of a choir floating over me like stars. I was a vast emptiness, surprised I was still living. I always knew I would die young. I heard of suicides in the news, and I wanted to be sad for them. But I was jealous. Maybe they wanted it more than I did. The day Kate Spade hung herself, for a moment, I thought she was a hero, a damsel in distress that came to her own rescue. People thought she gave up on life, but on Thursday, I thought she was a renegade, a rogue soldier that finally protested all the ghosts screaming at her at night. I saw a magician, the way she made the black disappear, transformed her thoughts into doves. I saw a designer, the way she made her mind all pretty and calm again. Interior decorated the room with her swinging body as the centerpiece. Maybe in that moment, she never felt more in control of her life in her life. Depression is to be space, to be so grand but still so empty and dark, to be island, surrounded all of ocean and still thirst to be privileged, affording the luxury to think about your depression, to be distant, to feel like God's afterthought, to feel broken and pierced, suspended above a hill alone. Depression sounds a lot like Jesus. No, it sounds negligent to speak of him this way. It's always sounded blasphemous to those who wanted him to be so God but not so human. Depression is being betrayed by friends, questioned by family, mocked and beaten by enemies. It is showing up last to Lazarus' deathbed, seeing his sisters mourn. It is being so aware of how grim life really is that you sweat blood. It is being in your father's counseling office in Gethsemane's garden, only to be left naked and forsaken on wooden sticks, the true vine crushed and destined out to dry on a cross and ferment in a grave. You think you didn't know what it was like to be depressed? to be stricken with grief. A man quite fond of sorrows learned his obedience through suffering, became a curse like depression on a cross for us. Sometimes telling us just to be happy is a mocking dismissal. But our Savior friend, he listens, he weeps, and he says, I know what it is like to be sorrowed unto death and still fight for joy. We do not have a Redeemer unable to sympathize with our temptations, but one who was tempted in every way, yet without falling, yet without losing grip of you. You are not alone in the spaces of your darkness. When your bed feels a lot more like casket, there is still hope to resurrect to new mercies at morning. For all the confused, God is certain. For all the unstable in mind, Christ is steadfast. And one day we will laugh about sorrow and death like it was an old inside joke among friends. Because depression may have my mind sometimes, but it is too weak to carry my soul. Despondency will never know eternity. Death will never know my spirit. Depression is now, y'all. It is not forever.